I think that they really didn't have any case here. It's our third victory in a row. In July, a federal court ruled that the digital asset XRP is not in and of itself a security. The SEC claimed it was. In October, the SEC tried to take an immediate appeal of that decision. The judge said, no, you can't take an immediate appeal. And let me remind you of all of the reasons why you were wrong in the first place. And then in the face of that, they capitulated, they surrendered. They really decided to dismiss what was left of the case. I think that is unprecedented that the SEC would do that, but I also think it's revealing that they have finally acknowledged that they really don't have a case here. And more importantly, for the industry, they've been trying to seize jurisdiction over the crypto economy through something called regulation by enforcement. And I think this is the first time that they've had a company and executives with the resources to fight back. And I think they were surprised by that. And when put through the litmus tests of the judicial process, it's really shown that they don't have a case. So there's a bigger issue here. There's a bigger policy issue here in terms of what is this country going to do in terms of getting rational regulation for the crypto economy. And then separately for an agency like the SEC that really is a bit out of control. It's really the administrative state gone awfully bad, keeping their eye on the ball, right? They come after a good company like Ripple, entrepreneurs like our executives who have built this company up over the past 11 years. And while they're doing that, they're keeping the eye off the ball of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, all of these companies that are going bankrupt. So consumers are really getting harmed through this wrong-minded approach from the SEC when it comes to crypto in the United States.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Support this great content by hitting the Cash App and by joining the Patreon.
And we have Ripple's attorney speaking about XRP SEC case. The decision that XRP is not a security when sold on exchanges. And then also the not guilty for Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. And when we go back to the beginning, we had Jay Clayton bringing in the lawsuit. And of course, Jay Clayton was also sitting in the meeting of the FDIC, and they stated this banking collapse was planned 10 years ago. And when a bank collapsed, it would be on Friday. And we've seen that happen every time. Remember, XRP and XLM allow real-time settlement, and that's freeing up a lot of liquidity. But of course, it's going to cut costs, and these small and medium-sized banks won't survive. But by Jay Clayton bringing on the case, it allowed Gary Gensler to kick the regulation can down the road to give the emerging markets enough time to set up shop. And we know 2024, they're going to flip the switch, and the United States, of course, is going to be behind on purpose because it's the fall of America to Babylon and the rise of the emerging markets led by China and that digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you.
Any of you recognize these faces? Well, you shouldn't. They have been generated by an adversarial general model. They are not human. They have no language, no values, no family, no friends. They don't get sick, they don't age. These are ones and zeros arranged in a specific pattern. It's technology imitating human nature, but it's also technology changing human nature. So for the purpose of this short talk, I'm going to use quotes from famous thinkers to make three main points. One, human identity is shaped by social relationships. Two, human performance is impacted by social relationships. And three, technological development largely depends on social relationships. The cosmologist Max Tegmark was talking about mathematics when he said that there are no entities besides relationships. He said that in the physical world, entities themselves have no intrinsic properties, but are entirely made of relationships. I say it's not that different in the human domain. It's this it's these social relationships that are very difficult to measure, that have kind of the quality of dark matter. But it's really important to pay attention to this dark matter and try to understand it. That's why programs like computational cultural understanding or Habitus are so forward thinking, because it's a different kind of DARPA hard problem to try to build an NLP model of pregnant Muslim women in northern Nigeria with absolutely no digital presence. But that's exactly what we are doing by combining thick data with neurosymbolic AI. These kind of results provide us an understanding of a different kind of cognitive map that somebody uses when making decisions. It helps us understand who they are listening to, who they consult with, and how they make their decisions. That is human domain work, but it's also really crucial for national security. National security itself is made up of people like many of you here in the room. Operators, commanders, strategists, computer scientists, hopefully also social scientists, and soldiers. And as Napoleon famously said, it is soldiers that win the battles. This image here is from a study I led together with my colleagues at SIFT and the Navy at the Hawaiian Space Exploration Simulation Analog Environment, or the High Seas Habitat. We had six high-performing individuals live and work together in confinement in a dome located on Mauna Loa, 8,000 feet above sea level. You see them here on a so-called EVA, or extravehicular activity, with spacesuits and helmets and breathing gear simulating the conditions of a lunar surface operation. This is not your average lab experiment. It's not a computer simulation. This is really happening. But this is how DARPA does team research.
Which asks whether there are strategies for including what I think the question is really getting at is the ways in which there can be large group changes and developments in values and perspectives. So all three of us are parents of either teenagers or near teenagers, and the values that perhaps teenagers have now may be different than the ones we had when our cohort was at that age. So we do see patterns of change within communities, within societies, in terms of the group values that change over time within a cohort and change between cohorts. So how do we bring these kinds of changes, these kinds of developmental processes into our models in useful ways without being buried under combinatorial complexity?
Well, I think I'll just say, there's many ways to answer that possible question. One strategy is just to identify, what are ways in which these values change, right? So even if you can't tell the precise gradient of, the way in which youth will change with respect to maturity, in, for example, science and technology, as we've measured it, but also in the context of ideological innovation, we see, this strong reduction in novel configurations as a function of age. Why? I don't think it's just biological age, it's social age, basically, once you become well known for something, it's very unlikely that you'll be invited to a party to do something that you haven't done before, right? You're reinforced. And so I think there are things like this, gradients like, the degree to which, social and biological age confound the degree to which, so older persons in this space are much more predictable than younger persons in this space. So I think we can take, again, there's lots of uncertainty, but we can take there. But these gradients allow us to dramatically decrease the nature of that uncertainty.
It's a really hard problem because it's a dynamic system and not a static system that we have. And if we take language again, language itself is changing all the time. Like a younger generation, like you said, our teenagers are using a different language, and populations are changing language all the time. So you have to adapt or update your model to those linguistic changes. Or if you think about technological advances and the use of multimedia and memes and whatnot, they haven't existed. So models that have been developed that have not included newer forms of communicative expressions are going to fail. It's a really hard problem that lots of people are grappling with. Even like the big tech companies like Google Translate, I've been talking to them a while ago. They keep trying to update, and they have certainly more resources available, updating their translation models in order to adjust for not only the meaning of words, but also changes in biases. Like we are undergoing now also like change in Western societies, changes in our own values with respect to, for example, gender identities. So this is very hard. This is a very hard problem to really like understand what's going on somewhere else outside of where we live. But that's why it's so crucial to have people that do understand the culture and locals involved in the process. There's something to be said about citizen science, for example, as well as a form to generate like really up-to-date data, which is needed to make these models more accurate and dynamic.
And guys, this video is from DARPA. And as we can see and hear, technology is going to change everything that we do, and then also everything that we see. Because everything that we see will not be real. You're going to be talking to fake people, whether it's in the real world or the virtual world. And then on top of it, even without technology, we're starting to see morals and values change. Things that they would have never tried on my grandmother's generation or my mother's generation, they're definitely trying on us and below, especially the Gen Z. They're just throwing at any allusions to them, and they're accepting them because they're creating a different reality. And those who understand the Bible know this is biblical. You're going to always test the weakest generation. And we know in every generation, we have our own lingo, our own language. Now you're going to start seeing bots dictate even our language. I know it sounds like a movie, but remember, guys, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows. When it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in an ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. We will, and if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.